Welcome to the Real News Network. I'm Jessica Devereaux in Baltimore. There's major news coming out of the International Criminal Court. The ICC has convicted former Congolese Vice President Jean-Pierre Bemba for rapes and murders carried out by his soldier under his command. Here's ICC Judge Sylvia Steiner handing down the court's ruling.
The evidence submitted and discussed at trial and on the entire proceedings. The Chamber finds Mr. Jean-Pierre Bemba Gombo guilty under Article 28A of the statute as a person effectively acting as a military commander for the following crimes: murder as a war crime, murder as a crime against humanity under Article 7(1)A of the statute, rape as a crime against humanity under Article 7(1)G of the statute.
The court found evidence that fighters under Bemba's command were pillaging, raping, and murdering civilians. This took place from October 2002 to March 2003 over a large geographical area during the armed conflict in the Central African Republic. Now joining us to talk about all of this is our guest, Kambale Musavuli. Kambale is a student coordinator and national spokesperson for the Friends of the Congo, and he fights for justice in the Congo through human rights activism and scholarship. Thanks so much for joining us, Kambale.
Glad to be back.
So, Kambale, give us a brief history of the conflict in the Central African Republic starting in October of 2002 to March 2003, and these allegations that were made during the long trial. It started back in 2008 with the detention of Jean-Pierre Bemba. Just give us just a brief history.
Yes, so in the context of Jean-Pierre Bemba, he was a military leader. He led a movement called Mouvement pour la Libération du Congo, MLC. They had military troops, some call them rebels, and he was asked by the president of Central African Republic in 2002, Ange Félix Patassé, to come and help him because there was a military coup ongoing in that country. He sent a contingent in Central African Republic, and those soldiers committed atrocities and crimes while they were there. The most important thing to know about the MLC and those military troops, while they were sent by Jean-Pierre Bemba to Central African Republic to stop the military coup, this rebel force was funded by the Ugandan president, Yoweri Museveni. So it's quite interesting to see the commanders really of those troops not there. At the time, General Mustafa was the commander of that troop. The president of the Central African Republic, Ange Félix Patassé, was not charged by the ICC, nor the Ugandan president, Yoweri Museveni, who's a staunch U.S. ally, also has not been indicted at all by the International Criminal Court. So that's actually how these crimes has been now, Jean-Pierre Bemba faced the crimes that those troops committed in Central African Republic.
Also, what's significant about this case, Kambale, is that this is really a move in the international community to see rape as a war crime. And we've seen the United Nations tribunals for war crimes in the former Yugoslavia and Rwanda issue convictions for rape as a war crime and crimes against humanity. However, this is the first time that the ICC has charged rape as an international crime. Can you talk about the significance of all of this?
I mean, this is very important, be it charging someone with rape as a war crime or just for any crime they commit. I think is very important, especially for the victims. The challenge specifically about the International Criminal Court is because of its actions, it seems that some of the actions are very political, that there is a deference of justice for many communities there. So for example, when we see leaders of the region who have committed egregious crimes. I'm going to speak specifically about the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, and the current president of the Congo, Joseph Kabila, who have in the region have blood of millions of Africans on their hands. And we have yet seen any charges. And we could also implicate, in the same case as we see that we have implicated Jean-Pierre Bemba to crimes that troops that he didn't have control of in another country, we could implicate Western leaders. We have Bill Clinton, for example, Tony Blair, who supports the president of Rwanda and Uganda, who have committed atrocious crimes. The their cases are still not in the ICC. So that's the biggest challenge right now, that because of the nature of the cases that the ICC is taking, while they deliver justice for the victims, it is seen from the local perspective as political cases. And for Jean-Pierre Bemba, being found guilty, and he's going to serve time waiting for the sentencing, we see that as an attempt to remove a political leader from the Congo, to be in action in the Congo. How so? He's a challenger to the current president of the Congo, Joseph Kabila. He's a military challenger. He's also a political challenger. That if he was in Congo today, we believe that what we're seeing in the Congo with Joseph Kabila will not happen. So that's, I hope, the International Criminal Court can look more into these cases, not just to see a Jean-Pierre Bemba being tried at the ICC, but also seeing Western leaders who fund back these African nations causing havoc, where civilians are facing the rape, the atrocities, the burying alive of civilians resisting. So that's the hope for the victims, that we see more than just Jean-Pierre Bemba, but we see also Western leaders being tried at the ICC.
All right, Kambale Musavuli, always a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on the Real News Network.